On the 20th of November 1861, Matilda Shooter, a 19-year-old flower maker, died from accidental poisoning. As part of her job, she applied the finishing touches to artificial leaves used in fashionable headdresses, dusting them with a beautiful green powder that she inhaled and ingested every day. This brilliant green pigment, amongst many other uses, was used to colour dresses and hair ornaments and was achieved by mixing copper with highly toxic arsenic trioxide. According to accounts, her death was horrible. She vomited green waters, the whites of her eyes went green, and she told doctors that everything she saw was, yep, you guessed it, green. In her final hours, she had convulsions and died foaming at the eyes, nose and mouth. Her life had been cruelly sacrificed to wealthy women's desire for fashionable dress and accessories. Problem was, this shade of arsenic green had become so desirable that it was the colour that every fashionable lady had to be seen in. Ball dresses were ordered in abundance, and every 20 yards of fabric contained 900 grams of arsenic. When it came into contact with the skin, it produced scars and sores and damaged tissue. Images of ulcerated nails and green skin circulated and illustrated the dangers of arsenic. This was gruesome. The French and German governments took actions against the use of arsenic, but the British government, although the dangers were known widely to the public, did nothing. Funny that, Punch magazine published a cartoon called The Arsenic Waltz, subtitled The New Dance of Death, dedicated to the green wreath and dressmongers. The elegantly dressed male skeleton asks the female skeleton, wearing the typically stylish ball gown of the early 1860s with wide crinoline skirt, off-the-shoulder bodice and a fan, to dance. Her head is crowned with a wreath of poisonous, arsenic-laced artificial flowers, and her fashionable dress hem, most definitely dyed a poisonous shade of green, is decorated with skull and crossbones, a clear indicator of her toxic couture. Now, I mentioned that the skeleton was wearing a crinoline, another unsuspecting and deadly 19th century killer. The wide cage crinoline craze of the 1850s and 60s was worn by all social classes. The steel cage skirt was a celebrated invention, despite the amount of deaths that were associated with the wearing of this most fashionable silhouette. Newspapers and medical journals confirmed that the crinoline was a deadly hazard. If we think about it logically, it was basically yards and yards of combustible fabric draped around a swinging dome-shaped skirt that was, at its most ridiculous, up to 18 feet in circumference. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? The media was full of reports of crinolines being set alight. The Lancet Medical Journal wrote, "Another death by fire" is a common heading in which modern readers are familiarised with the most daily holocaust of women and children sacrificed by the combustibility of their dresses and the expansion of their crinoline. By 1860, the Registrar General had observed more than 3,000 deaths annually from fire, many of them from clothing going up in flames. Though there were no exact numbers as to the amount of deaths involving crinolines, newspapers and caricature artists took advantage, using the absurdity of the crinoline to illustrate the dangers of frivolous fashion. This hand-coloured lithograph from the Wallace collection in London, labelled "Fire" and subtitled "The Horrors of Crinoline and the Destruction of Human Life," dramatises two young fashionable ladies dressed in their finery as one of their crinoline skirts is set ablaze. In the midst of the panic, a man in the background approaches with a bucket of water, whilst her companion tries to smother the flames. Even the poor little dog has not managed to escape their perilous fashionable choices. The dog runs off with its tail engulfed in flames. Poor wee doggle. Deaths involving crinolines and fire were blamed on reckless vanity, and crinoline-clad women were condemned and ridiculed.